But Jesus said something when he used the wine and the wine skin. Although it's an old practice. We don't use wine skins again. Right? We don't use wine skin. Now we now use bottles for wine. But in those days they used animal skin. Right? When they use animal skin, they pour wine in it. And the skin and the wine, they need to be the same. If it's a new wine, it must be in what? A new wine skin. Because new wine skin are very flexible. But as wine skin gets older and older, it hardens. So he now said, you don't put new wine in an old wine skin. Because if you put new wine in an old wine skin, because it's hardened, it will burst. So this wine skin is symbolic of our thought pattern. The disciples of Jesus, the challenge they faced all their life was what they've known and what Jesus was saying. What they've done and what Jesus was doing. And you have to know that they practiced the laws of Moses. Even what we read as the New Testament. For example, you read in the book of Acts, they were going to the temple at the hour of prayer. Right? Now, they didn't see that with Jesus. Jesus didn't have hour of prayer. The one who pioneered what Jesus actually came to do was Paul. That's why we theologians say that Paul is the one who midwifed what we know as the New Testament. He was the one who developed the theology of the church. The operation manual of the church. So it's Paul who will say things like, circumcision doesn't profit you anything. You don't let anyone judge you in terms of months, in terms of new moon, or those festivals. It was Paul that midwifed all that. It was Paul that, the height of it, Paul said, don't wait for Jesus, he has come. If any man is in Christ, he's a new creation, right? So many heard him face to face. They walked with him every day for 3.5 years. They never got it. I don't know when Peter eventually got it. When he was in Joppa, he was still saying, I won't eat unclean things. It was still written in Galatians, he was eating unclean things, but when some people came from Jerusalem, he withdrew. Conviction was not there. I don't know when he eventually got it. Because there are still a lot of Christians today, they are still prejudiced tribally, they are still prejudiced denominationally, they are still prejudiced, along faith lines, they are still prejudiced. New things don't always attract. We approach it with suspicion. It's true, some things can't change. What they call spiritual life is the only life. Because the greatest hindrance to the gospel is ignorance. And religion thrives on ignorance. The more the people don't know, right, the more powerful evil is. And then we can swing to another extreme where it's just, what is it that you really prioritize in your life? Do you prioritize it because it's popular? Because everybody is doing it? Because Jesus was a loner. Jesus wasn't a celebrity. It was tough following him. Have you come to determine what is important in your life? If it's really important, right, you give it your all. Because people always have time for what they consider to be important. The tragedy of life is that what most of the time we consider to be important is because it's popular, not necessarily because it's right, because many people are doing it and we give it our all. Imagine you spend, if God bless you, you live 120 years in this life. And let's imagine that life is all about preparing God a meal, that when you meet him, you present him with the meal. Right? Right? And then 120 years of your life, you prepare God ofensala, right, with akpu. That's what you use 120 years to prepare. And then you meet him and say, this is it, sir. He said, what is it? is akpu and ofe nsala. I said, I don't eat it. I thought, no, you didn't ask me what I want. Right? You see, that's the life of a lot of people. Because everybody is preparing akpu and ofe nsala for God. He might get it from Larry, but not from Onyekachi, right? Yeah. What have you come to discover as important? Because God will not adjust His standards, His rules, His patterns, His values for anybody. We will have to adjust, right, to God's rules, patterns, values, right? We will have to adjust to it.
This message is from the Kingdom Citizens Pavilion, Jos, Nigeria.